Well, hello everyone. This is Dusty from the Fellowship Committee, and I am here with Kathy Long and her son if he comes back in, or you'll just get to see his private interview, whichever one we do, because we're all just lucky to have you in our lives. And Matt. And I really appreciate everything that you do and who you are. And I can't wait to get to know you a little bit better. So, the first question I'm going to ask you is, when did you become a member of our church? And I know it was recently. And why did you become a member?
I think it's either a year ago or it will be a year. And Matt and I watched online because of COVID for a year since we moved here. But I always went to church, with Susan and Lee. I participated in the chili cook-offs when I would come to town, and always went to the Blue Christmas when I was able to, and so I feel like I've been involved in different ways for a long time.
So what made you join?
It was time. It was time to come to church and be in church. It was kind of like a calling inside, that it was time to become part of a church community, a church family. Things were happening here with Matt that it was just time.
Yeah, and Matt's very involved.
Yes.
He
Maddie,
really
yes.
has the Holy Spirit with him, doesn't he?
Yes,
Yeah.
Maddie loves church, but
Yeah.
I can't really describe how important church has become to us.
Cool. So, when you think back over your life and you think of your former self as a young person, or you think of young people today, what advice would you give to your former self or to someone younger than you?
I guess I can't impress enough on folks how incredibly short life is. Like, in the blink of an eye, short.
Yeah.
And so do the things that you would like to do. Never pass up an opportunity to tell someone how much you love them, how much you care for them. Never pass up an opportunity to do a kindness for someone, no matter how small, because life just goes by so quickly.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you have passed that on to your son.
Thank you.
Yeah. He loves unconditionally.
He does.
He takes the time to listen, and you've done a beautiful job with that man.
Thank you.
And he is just a gift to
Thank
anyone
you
who
for
gets
saying
the
that.
opportunity. And I don't just say it, I mean it.
Thank you. That
Yeah.
means a lot to me. Thank you.
I know,
Now
as a
here we go
mom.
already crying.
As a mom, it does, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So you said you moved when we moved here. Where did you move here from?
From Sioux Falls,
Okay.
but originally I moved from Arizona to Sioux Falls.
Okay.
And
And
this
Matt
is-
said he was born in Las Vegas.
He graduated from Las
Okay.
Vegas.
Yeah, graduated.
Yes.
Graduated. How did you get to Vegas?
My ex-husband was in the military.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
we've lived. This is the 17th house that Matt and I have lived in, and the 10th state, and we've lived in one country.
Wow. You have moved a lot.
Yes.
That's amazing. I moved a lot too. My dad was a college professor, and so I really think it helped me.
Yes.
You know?
I think my kids appreciated being military brats, and there isn't a person that they can't talk to. They make friends easily and hold on to friendships. I mean, there were some drawbacks,
Yeah.
like changing schools
For
and
sure.
things like that, but when you're by a military community, all the kids are in the same boat as
Right.
you are. So
Yeah.
I think they would say that it was mostly good.
So where did you spend your grade school and high school years?
Here, we grew up
Okay.
here.
Okay.
I went to school here, and Matt went to school here through the 4th grade, and then went to middle school in Germany and graduated from high school in Las Vegas.
Well, there's not too many people that can say they graduated high school from Las
No,
Vegas.
and you wouldn't really want to say that.
Oh, I don't know. He's
Yeah.
turned out pretty
He
good.
did.
He's
But it
not
was
a
rocky.
gambler.
You know,
but-
the money is on the Strip in Vegas and
Yeah.
not out in
Yeah,
the community.
that's true. That is true. So, what did your parents do?
My dad owned Long's Propane here in town.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and from the time he was 20, he started at a company called DX until he could purchase his own company.
Wow.
And my mom was the bookkeeper there for about 60 years. And
Holy cow.
yeah, so she was a stay-at-home mom mostly, but then she was also the bookkeeper for
And you
Long's
have
Propane.
siblings?
I have 2 sisters.
Okay. Are they in the area?
Yes, they both are. One's in town and one's in Mission Hill.
Okay. So not far.
No.
Not far. Cool. So when you were in high school, what did you participate in? Any kind of sports or any activities?
I was
or?
in choir.
Okay. Yay. Yay, choir.
I think I was like a underachieving backup singer. I
see.
won't be in the choir at church.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes Jennifer has a way, but you never know. We have a puppy here that's going to join us. Look at this sweetheart. He's a little jealous, so
Yes,
he has
yes.
to get front and center. So, something surprising about yourself that people don't know.
Oh gosh. For many years, Matt and I, it started with Sister Blanche at the hospital, but for many years, Matt and I would go visit new moms and their Down syndrome babies. Matt has an honorary assistant professor award from the medical school in Vermilion
Oh,
from Dr. David Bean. And then once a year we would also go visit the 3rd year medical students at the college. And then we continued that. We did it here until we moved. And then when we lived in Nashville for 7 years, we also spoke to the 3rd year medical students
oh, cool.
there. And I didn't really speak much. Matt did.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and so they kind of got hands-on experience of what it was like speaking to someone that had Down syndrome.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people make the mistake of not realizing that just because you are alternately able doesn't mean that you haven't had any life experience. They have just as many years on this earth as we do, and
Right.
their own interpretations and,
Yes.
life thoughts and
And when Matt was born, they didn't really know what to say to me. They moved me to a private room, and they moved me down to where the women that had, like hysterectomies and things were, instead of keeping me with the moms. I mean, I was still a mom.
yeah.
And, they just said, we don't know if Matt will walk or talk, and it was all so discouraging. And, I just knew that I had this beautiful 6-pound baby, and I didn't really believe the things that they said. I think my being naive kind of helped me, because I thought, you can't be right about it. And so Matt's brother was older. He was 3 when Matt was born. And so we just didn't treat him differently. We treated him the same. And I think having an older brother helped in the fact that, because we didn't know what to do, we just didn't do anything different. And, Jeremy played with Matt just like he would have if Matt weren't Down syndrome. And the neighbor kids played with Matt like he didn't have Down syndrome. And I think that was the benefit of it all.
And you really wouldn't know that Matt's not your typical Down syndrome.
Right, and they didn't really discover
Yeah.
it until the next day when the pediatrician came. They didn't even think of it I mean, when he was born, no one thought anything. It wasn't until the next day.
Ah, okay.
And so we just have never even, I mean, I just talked to Matt all his life. I've just treated him like one of my kids, not
Yep.
one of, not my Down syndrome child.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's amazing because it really does help.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
people deserve to be who they are, no matter who they are. Right.
And I think, years ago, I think when the doctor said, well, they probably won't walk or talk, and I think people kind of trusted the doctor and said, okay, well, then I won't talk to them or do things with them, and I think that was to their deficit.
I agree. Yep, I've seen a lot of that over the years.
Yeah,
Years and
yeah.
years and years, and I totally agree with you. So, do you remember your grandparents?
My grandfather's, one had passed away and the other one passed away. I suppose I was 4 or 5, so I have kind of remembrances of him. My grandmothers were amazing, and I have lots of good memories about them. My one grandma didn't drive. They lived in the same town in Viborg, and so my dad's mom would always drive both of them here to visit us.
Ah,
And then, of course, every Sunday you would get all dressed up after Sunday school and go to the grandma's for
oh,
dinner. And it was nice that they lived together. And then we would take the bus, my sister and I, which was a station wagon, and go to Viborg and
wow.
stay overnight a couple nights. And that was fun. My dad's mom was afraid of the dark, and so she had a nightlight that had the electric man. It was a light bulb,
ah,
and that was always in her bedroom. But yeah, they were so wonderful. I had wonderful grandmas.
that's awesome. So, what did you do for your first job? Did you work with your dad at the propane company?
No, not until later, but I babysat.
Okay.
And for 50 cents an hour, and then whoever was going out that night, they all brought their kids.
Oh,
And we just babysat for whoever's kids were there. And then one time, Elizabeth, who I babysat for a lot, asked if I could babysit for her friend because they were going to Bible study. And she said she has a newborn. And she said, do you think your mom will mind? And I said, no, my mom won't mind. Except the newborn still had her umbilical cord.
Oh.
But I didn't care. As soon as they left, I got her up and changed her clothes and played with her like a doll. But when my mom found out, she did mind.
oh, oops.
I mean, the baby's a baby.
Yeah, they're fun too.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you work outside your home?
When the kids were little,
Yeah, or at all between the time that, and yeah, what'd you do?
I always had a job, but when the kids were little, I always had a at-home job. When they were really little, I babysat.
Okay.
And then when we were in Germany, I was the bookkeeper for the thrift shop, which I could do at home. And
So, do you speak some German?
I do. And
Cool.
when my folks would come over, then I could speak enough German to, get us by, get us a room, get us service.
Cool.
That kind of thing. I took it in high school, and I didn't really ever think I'd use it, but I
You
did.
Where
I
in
did.
Germany were you?
We were at Ramstein Air
Okay.
Force
Okay.
Base.
Did you enjoy that time?
Yes, yeah, because you could, it's so central. You could go to Paris, to Switzerland, to Holland.
Yeah.
I went to the Czech Republic twice.
Nice.
And yeah, it was
What years were you there?
1990 to 1994.
Okay. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, so
I
during
will-
Desert Storm.
Yeah.
So that was some interesting,
Yeah.
times, and bomb threats and searching your car. And
When you were in Germany. Yeah.
mhm.
So were people happy to see the Americans there, or
Not the French,
okay?
and I don't know that they still like Americans, but other nationalities
Yeah.
like Americans.
Yeah.
Like the Dutch people love Americans.
Yeah.
And when we went to Czechoslovakia, it was still communist, and so
Oh,
you had to go
wow.
to classes to find out how to behave, and what to do and what not to do, and not to ever be alone, and to keep your money under your clothes. And like you took Hershey candy on the bus, and you went through big rolls of barbed wire.
Wow.
And when the guards came on the bus, you had to hold up your passport, and then you put all your Hershey candy in a sack. And when the guards came on the bus, they took the sack of candy off, and then you held up your passport. And they would just walk back and forth with their machine guns on the bus.
That was kind of the way that you made it through safely, is by candy. Sweets. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So, something that you would like to tell us about yourself that you want to share? Anything?
Oh my gosh.
Anything you want to tell us about your time at the church, or what your faith looks like to you today and why?
I had a very difficult childhood, and so my faith is very, very important to me. My daughter died. It'll be 10 years on the 15th. And so there have been things that have happened in my life that I would not have survived, I don't think, without God. And I don't know if this is the right time, but I'm going to do it. Matt has early onset Alzheimer's, and so we are dealing with that. And again, I don't know what I would do without my kids and my friends and God and the church.
I know that Matt talked to me about having Alzheimer's. I did not bring it up. He brought it up when we were talking.
Yes, he's still aware of it.
So I think that that's a really good thing that you can talk about it because he can talk about it.
Right.
So I think that we have too many stigmas, and talking about those things takes that stigma away.
Yeah, and I don't want people to see him differently because I've now said it, because he is still Matt.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we do talk about it because I believe in honesty, and but I mean, we also talk about heaven. I mean,
Yes.
Matt knows that
Yes, he does.
is dying, and it's important that I'm as careful as I can about it, but he's comforted to know that he's going to heaven to
Yes,
be with
he is.
Jesus.
Yes, he is.
And that it's a wonderful, beautiful place that we can't imagine.
Right. I think that you've done a lovely job explaining that many, many people should explain, but don't realize that how things can change in a minute, like you said.
Yeah.
And, you know, I always think of that picture of Jesus, little children come to me.
Yes.
And somehow between childhood and adulthood, that seems to vanish.
Yes.
And our faith changes.
Yes. And it shouldn't.
Yeah, it shouldn't.
No. I want to have the faith of Matt.
Yes, I want to have the faith of Matt too.
Yes.
He's a wonderfully faithful man.
Yes.
And he's a good son.
Yes.
And he's a good friend.
Yes, he
You
is
know?
a really good
Yeah.
friend. He's one of my best friends.
Yep. Well, thank you for talking with me today, and
Thank you.
I love you so much.
I love you too.
And we will see you on the big screen.
Oh, Lord. Please.
Yay. Thanks, everybody.